2025 was one of those years that was amazing for my garden. Honestly, amazing. And I want to share with you a few of the things that I did, new, old, some experiments that I tried. So this may actually become a really long video. Grab a drink, grab something, get cozy, and let's start. Last year, right about this time at the end of December, I started thinking about the things that I needed to buy, supplies that I needed to order for all of my seed starting needs. Last year, or depending when you're watching this video, 2025 was my year 6 in starting seeds. And throughout the years, I have been kind of perfecting the way that I grow those seeds. I pretty much have it nailed down to the things that I order, the suppliers for the seeds, for the soil, the pots and trays that I use. And I try to share a lot of this stuff with you guys. And last year specifically, I was watching a bunch of videos from other YouTubers that grow their own seeds. Not their own seeds. They grow their own plants from seed. And I found myself comparing my own seedlings to theirs and wondering, theirs look so nice. Theirs look so healthy and stronger than mine. And I really wanted to see if I could make mine better. I was already putting the work. I was already spending the money. So might as well see if I can add something or buy something else, change things maybe, and get better seedlings. So I decided to test a few other soils that other people were using. And I do have to say that video got a lot of comments. I got a lot of messages from you guys saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got those results. I have been using, your favorite up until last year. I was happy with the results, but now I'm rethinking everything. My dog's about to go crazy. So long story short, I tested 4 different soils, including mine, my favorite for starting seeds, and the results were shocking. I found that mine, my favorite, was just really performing really low compared to the other 3. And so I decided to stop using that soil, and I got my new favorite, which is 4 beets. If you guys have not watched that video, I really highly recommend, if you want to know more about it, that you go watch it, because that's where my love for the 4V's compost base soil came. So that was pretty much what I used last year for all of my seedlings, but that's just my favorite. 4V's is my favorite. And actually, Amazon just delivered 3 other soils that I'm going to test my new favorite 4V's against. And I do have to wait another week for one more. So I am very excited about trying and testing those soils as well and see how they perform. Mainly because shipping 4V's, I cannot find it locally. First of all, here in Indiana, nobody carries it. The closest that I have, I believe, is in Kentucky, and it's about 2.5 hours away from me. It's not that bad, but I'd rather find it locally. And if I can find something that Amazon can deliver, even better. So I am going to be testing some new companies, some new types of soils, and hopefully I can show you here in a few weeks what my results are. My dahlia tubers, or I should say it, overwintering the dahlia tubers from 2024 to 2025 was a complete mess. I lost about 90% of my tubers and I was devastated. My biggest struggle personally when it comes to overwintering tubers in this case is that I don't have the space, the right space with the right conditions where to keep those tubers. I have tried different techniques. I don't really have a room where it stays somewhat cool, that it doesn't freeze, but it doesn't get too warm. So that is my personal struggle. This year, I am using my mom's basement, and I'm also doing some other things here. So far, right now is the beginning of December. So far, things are looking okay. They are looking like they're going to make it, but it's only December. I still have at least 3 more months before those guys can, wake up and be good. But hopefully this year is the year that I actually succeed at overwintering dahlia tubers. But last year it was a complete mess. I had to pretty much spend a small fortune to get a bunch of nice tubers, and actually I did try some small growers. I fell in love with a couple. There was one that I wasn't really too sure. I don't think that I'm going to buy from them anymore. But also this year, 2025, was the first year that I ordered tubers as wholesale. And those tubers came from Awnings of America. To give you an idea, I paid about $2.40 ish per tuber, and they don't really come nice and neat. You don't exactly get 70 tubers because that's the or the least amount that you can buy. They all come in 70, which is a lot. 70 tubers is a lot, especially if just one single variety. But they had one variety that I really liked, Sweet Suzanne. And I show you guys how that unboxing went. I am really happy. Being my first year for ordering one type of tuber as wholesale, I was really worried that they were going to be sick. I was really worried they were going to be just, full of diseases. But so far, so good. The ones that I planted didn't have anything going on. I was really careful about cleaning every piece of tool that I use for dividing my dahlias and all of that process. I am really happy with how they arrive, and I'm really happy with the experience. I was able to sell a bunch of those tubers at my seedling sale. I was able to wake up to grow some of those tubers as potted plants and sell those as well like that. And I mean, for being my first year growing dahlias being purchased from a wholesale place, I'm really happy. I am not sure if I'm going to do that again this year, but I'm going to wait until I see how my tubers are doing. And if all of my tubers are fine, if I don't lose any or a decent amount, then I should be okay. But if I see something that I lost so many, I'm gonna have to make the decision. I already checked the list that they have, and there is one variety that I see that I'm really thinking about getting. But again, I'm just gonna wait until the end of maybe February, beginning of March, and decide if I wanna do that. And hopefully they have that variety available. Another thing that was new for me was that I started a bunch of cool flowers from seed really early. Like, I am talking end of January, beginning of February early. My original idea was that I was going to be selling these cool flowers early in the spring, because I also had the great idea to start a roadside stand this year. So, but my thought behind growing all of those cool flowers was that I wanted to have some blooms early. So because of that, I had to start some early. And if you are new to the concept of growing cool flowers, if you have no idea what I mean, get the book Cool Flowers by Lisa, I can't remember her last name, Singler. I think that's her. She's the person behind the Gardener's Workshop. I really found her videos, her information that she shares on YouTube really helpful. And I decided to grow a bunch of things. And a lot of those flowers, honestly, they did amazing. And I was a little bit hesitant, to be honest, because here in central Indiana, I am able to take all of my heat-loving flowers at the beginning of May, okay? So for me to take any type of flower at the beginning of March was really worrying. I was really nervous about that. But everything that I prepared, everything that I took outside that early just flourished. They really did thrive in those conditions. And again, if you're new to that, get that book and hopefully you can grow some this year. I don't know that I am going to be doing a lot like I did last year. It's not because the flowers didn't perform. It's not because I had failures. I honestly didn't have anything that failed. Everything that I grew performed really well. But the main reason why I'm not going to be doing a bunch of those flowers this year is because I don't think that I want to be selling bouquets early this year. I do want to concentrate on working on the seedling sale, which happens right about the same time. I mean, by the time that I'm growing these flowers that I want to take outside. I'm going to be starting growing some other things that I want to have for my seedling sale. And the biggest thing that I took from this year, when I was starting the cool flowers, when I was taking them outside, when I was making sure they were growing well, was that I didn't have a lot of time to be handling both. And there was a lot of commitments on my end. Personally, I had a lot of things going on, and having to spend most of my time dealing with both things, preparing for the seedling sale and getting my cool flowers ready, was just too much. So I think that this year I am just definitely going to concentrate my time. I'm going to just try to be organized and spend more time on the seedling sale part than having bouquets ready early in the spring. I could do both. I could definitely do both, but I don't want to I just don't want to be that busy that early in the year. Now, because in my mind I was going to be growing all these extra flowers, all the cool flowers for growing bouquets for selling, I had to make more space in my backyard. And I just, as it is, things are so tight already. I live in a very small place close to the city where the houses are like next to each other. So as far as having a huge land to grow flowers or anything that I want, it's not the case. So I decided to get space, or get new space, more space for my flowers. And I took a existing flower bed in front of my garage where I had my water fountain and a bunch of boxwoods and other shrubs. And I decided just to take all of those out and plant some raised beds. And I am so glad that I did that. I found a new love for that space that it wasn't there before. Now, don't get me wrong, digging those boxwoods and those hydrangeas and all the perennials that I had there, moving my water fountain was a lot of time, was a lot of work that I did by myself, but I just love the space. I think that it has all of that potential of me growing new things, growing more flowers year after year, and I really, really love it. I started digging everything at the beginning of January. As soon as I was able to be outside and not freeze to death, I started digging those things. Little by little, I started working on those, and I'm really happy with the results. I tried to make things super easy. I didn't till anything. Cardboard became my best friend last year about this time, because instead of having to dig all that grass, instead of having to make areas where to put my raised beds, I just covered the entire thing with cardboard, and that was really, really helpful for me. And towards the beginning of summer, there were a couple of perennials that didn't get taken out, and they were coming through that cardboard. How did they make that happen? I don't know, but there were a couple of perennials that they just wanted to thrive, and they were trying to find a way, but I had to dig those out, obviously. Those new raised beds, it's amazing what just getting rid of things and starting over can do for a space where you're not happy. Now, that shelving unit back there, that was also new for me in 2025. So far, I have 3 large shelving units that I use for all of my seed starting needs. And you may be thinking, wow, you must have really like a huge house where you can, have all this space. No, this right here, this little corner is one side of my bedrooms, where is just the space where I used to grow my seedlings. I am thinking this year that I'm actually get some blackout curtains, because when all of the lights of these shelving units are on during the day, it gets pretty bright in here. So I have to probably spend some money in some blackout curtains where it's not just blasting the whole neighborhood. Towards the end of April, this place was just full of green. I am so glad that I did that. The only thing that I'm going to do different this year, I am not adding any more shelving units, but the only thing that I'm going to do different is that the lights that I got for this new shelving unit, those are new for me this year, and I should have known better, really. They were slightly cheaper than the ones that I have for the other 2, and they do give out a little bit more heat that I'm comfortable with. Now this room gets pretty toasty already. If I had the lights, if I have all the windows open during the day and the sunlight comes in, this room faces the south side, by the way, it's so toasty in here. And sometimes I think that some things struggle in that much heat. And what I'm going to do is that I am going to donate those lights to my mom, because she's going to have her whole shelving unit set up this year. And she is going to be using her basement, which is on the cooler side. So those lights, giving a little bit of heat in her basement, are going to be perfect for her. And what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to order some more of the stuff that I'm already using, and I'm just going to replace those lights. And that's the only thing that I'm going to be different for this grow room. The seedling sale was also something that I did new this year, and I love that. I mean, as simple as that, I love getting to grow small seedlings and selling them outside, just like a garage sale type of thing. I'm really happy with the results that I got. I'm really happy with how things went my first year. I did prepare a lot for that seedling sale. I opened a Facebook page for my locals. I opened a newsletter. I advertised locally. I have a whole video where I explain kind of like a step-by-step on how I did things. And mind you, there were some people that actually emailed me saying, you should have done this or you shouldn't have done that when it came to selling the plants. But these things work out really great for me, and I'm going to repeat those this year. But if you want to check those out, I'm going to link that video below. But I am going to be doing that this year again. I'm not really sure about this, but I may have to get a grower's license and a reseller license. I'm not sure yet. There is a little bit of work for me involved, and it includes somebody having to come and inspect my growing area and the soil that I use and all of that stuff. I'm not really sure if I want to go through all of that. But if you have a grower license and a reseller license, let me know if the process was like painful for you or if it was not a big deal. I would love to know how that worked out for you. And the reason why I want to get those is because I want to be selling perennials as well. I do want to start a few things that are perennials in my zone, and for that I have to have special permits. But also I'm thinking about maybe ordering plugs for myself and reselling the rest that I don't use. And I believe for that I have to have a license. So much involved. Yeah. So while I'm talking about buying plugs, this was also the year where it was my first time buying plugs as a wholesale. But I ordered from Farmer Bailey. I ordered Buplerium, Lizzie's, and Amidara. I really ordered them because of the Lizzie's. They had a three tray minimum. I really didn't want to buy 3 trays of Lysiantha, so I thought I'm just going to get some Buplerium. I see them all over for people that make bouquets, and I thought I might as well just order some Ami, because there wasn't really anything else that I really wanted to try. Lysianthas, I fell in love. I'm actually thinking about getting 2 trays this year for Lysianthas. And if you have been following my channel for the last few years, you know that I think that I tried for 4 years to grow Lysianthas from seed. And I know when I'm defeated and I just cannot grow Lysianthas to save my life. So I decided to order those plugs. They were so tiny. Like, they were so tiny compared to the other two plants that I ordered. They're amazing, you guys. I fell in love with Lysianthas. So I am thinking about getting the same variety and maybe a different color. I still have to look into that. I really have to get my order in if I want to do that. Buplerium, that's really hard for me to say. Buplerium, I find out that I can really grow those from seed in my room, in my conditions. So I am not going to order those as plugs. I'm going to start my own. I really love the foliage of Buplerium. I feel like it lasts for a long time and it's so easy to grow. Like, I didn't have any problems growing it. And Amidara, I have a whole area in my backyard where I grew it this year, and I am pretty sure they're all going to come back because I left all of them go to seed towards the end, and I know I'm gonna have a bunch of those everywhere. Talking about the experience of buying plugs, I really love how easy and painless it was for me to order and to get those delivered. I wasn't really sure what to expect because there isn't a lot of stuff out there for people, you know, like showing you how they arrive or what to do. I did make a video for that, by the way, if you want to check that unboxing. But I'm really happy with how things arrive and how things develop. And hopefully they, you know, they add more things, more varieties of things. And I'm really excited. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be ordering a lot of stuff from them, but really, really happy with the stuff that I got. Oh my goodness. This video may actually be super long. The roadside stand this year, oh my gosh, I love making the bouquets. I love the process of, you know, going outside and cutting the flowers and just putting bouquets together for selling. Being my first year with the roadside stand, I have to be honest and say that I didn't sell as much as I was hoping to. There were only 2 occasions where I sold out, which was amazing. I mean, it's amazing. But there were many occasions where I just sold 2 or 3 bouquets. And mind you, I was only making like 6-8 bouquets at the time. So selling 2 or 3 bouquets wasn't that much. What did I do with the rest of the flowers, you may ask? I used Baramine and make huge bouquets for myself. And like in a lot of rooms, there were flowers everywhere. But I learned a lot, even though I didn't have the profit, financially speaking, that I wanted. I really learned a lot about processing the flowers, what to use, what the best time is for each flower to be harvested. I really enjoy it. I feel like one of the things that I learned was that it takes a lot of preparation. Making bouquets for selling, it's not just going and cutting the flowers and putting the bouquets together that day. I feel like for me, in my conditions, getting the flowers prepared was key for them to be just amazing and lasting for quite a few days indoors. So I did a lot of the morning before, and some days I did a lot of the night before for harvesting the flowers. And I share in a couple of videos, how that worked out or what the things I use for prepping the flowers. One of them was quick dip, and the other one was a tablet for dirty flowers. I find like those 2 things, having them hours the day before in the water, were really key for me to treat the flowers before putting the bouquets together. And I know that there's a lot of things out there on things to do, you know, like smashing the stems, dipping them in boiling water. That's just too much for me. If I can just keep things easy for me to, you know, not have to do steps and steps and steps before putting the flowers out there. I mean, I'm trying to make things easier for myself. As simple as adding quick dip in a tablet for those flowers that could contaminate the water in the water for prepping my flowers the day before, and that was really all I did. I will link to a couple of videos where I shared that process, so if you want to know more, just check that information below. While I'm talking about cool flowers here, I do have to say that there were a lot of things that I tried and they performed really well. There was nothing wrong with the varieties that I grew. However, some of them I don't think that I'm going to repeat again, mainly because I wasn't able to use them in bouquets as much as I thought I was going to do. But also some other things just really didn't make me, you know, they didn't bring me joy. The 2 varieties that I grew that were new, the 2 Rudbeckia varieties, I believe it was Maya and Goldilocks. I believe those were the names. They grew amazing. I have no problems growing the plants, but I don't think that I'm going to be growing them again. I just couldn't really add that bright yellow color in a bouquet as much as I wanted to. But another one, Feverfew, the single variety, I believe it's called Single Magic. I fell in love with that thing. I fell in love with it. Having a bouquet of just a hydrangea early in the spring with some of those feverfew, that was just amazing for me. That was just, I am planning to grow a bunch of that feverfew this year. I am thinking about doing a couple of successions. That may actually be one that I start early, and then maybe I'll give myself like 3 weeks a couple of times after to grow different sets, because I do want a bunch of those for my bouquets. Now, I do love celosia for my bouquets, but the variety that I grew this year, or one of the varieties that I grew this year, I believe it was salmon something. While it did really well, that thing grew super, super tall. It wasn't as bushy as I wanted it to be for bouquets. It was beautifully single stems, and it didn't take really that much space in a bouquet. So I am looking to grow more celosia, but ones that are like a little bit fuller when it comes to the blooms. Gosh, I feel like I'm talking about a lot of things that I didn't know this year. Another one of those things that were new for me this year was renting space at my local community garden. And the experience was amazing. The people were great to work with. There were a lot of things that were new for me, as far as having to grow something in a place that is not mine, and having to drive there, and having to just prepare before I went and grabbed things from there. But overall, I had a great experience. I only had 2 rows, which they were a lot. I mean, they were a lot to do at once. And it was a lot of extra space that I definitely used for growing lots of cut flowers. I am definitely going to keep those 2 rows, the same 2 rows. And I love it so much. And I became really good friends with the people there that I'm now a volunteer for the next coming year. So I am taking over some of their organizing part. I'm taking over their email and their newsletters. So, I'm not busy enough with my own things. But I'm really happy that I got to rent some space from there this year. I'm definitely thinking about what things to grow there next year. Because of their space, they get so much of full sun. I mean, so many hours from the morning to the end of the day of full sun, that I'm thinking about growing my dahlias there exclusively. But I'm still thinking about that, because the digging part and the processing of all of those tubers, it may be tricky not having it done here. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. I'm still giving it some thought. But if I decide to grow my dahlias over there, I am definitely going to have more room. And that means getting more dahlia tubers, different dahlia tubers that I don't currently have. So lots of decisions there. Lots to decide. So because I was growing all of these flowers, dahlias, and a lot of other types of cut flowers, I decided to use something new for me this year, netting. I really wanted to make the jute type of netting work for my cut flowers, but that was not the case. I see a lot of people, I follow a couple of people that use this type of netting exclusively, and that's what really pushed me to buy like a bunch of them and just have it for my cut flowers. But the problem that I ran into it when it came to using that was that it was so easy to split. And I get that the material, when it gets wet, when it gets, it gets wet and it gets dry and it gets wet again, it's easy to break. But I wasn't counting on having to battle that constantly. And I did that for a section of my dahlias in one area, where every time I will try to get a bloom, try to get something out of it, I will mistakenly just, rip it by pulling the netting. So I don't think that netting works for me. And it sucks because I have like 2 bags full of it for my cut flowers. So I when I noticed that I was having these problems, I ordered some of the Horonova netting. That one is plastic. That thing doesn't even stretch. That thing is solid. And as long as you have some nice posts, some nice base for where to hold that in one end and the other, that thing was great. Now the only thing with that is that you have to be mindful about how to reset those beds when you are done in the season. The easiest thing for me was to just go and with the electric trimmer that I use for my boxwoods was just go slightly on the top of the layer to cut all of my flowers, remove that easily, and then just cut the rest. Because I save those. Every single piece that I use, I save. And well, I don't like the idea of having to buy plastic to grow flowers in my garden. I think that having the ability to use that year after year, as much as I am able to, is definitely key. And not only that, but I don't have to fight that. I don't have to be fixing constantly, you know, the layers. And especially when it comes to dahlias, they can be so heavy. They can really get so heavy. And I don't know. That was just my experience, unfortunately. I am sure that it works great for other people. Maybe the amount of rain that we had here in Indiana during the summer or during early in the spring, maybe that didn't help the jute netting. But I was really sad about that part. Actually, not being able to just, you know, compost that netting at the end of the year. Okay, we're almost done. My tomatoes, it's so funny to me that I grow so many things from seed. I grew so many tomato plants this year for myself, for my garden, for the seedling sale. I even donated a bunch of those tomatoes, the ones that I had left over from the seedling sale. They actually went to the community garden because I had so many left. The tomatoes that I grew for myself here, that I grew in my own backyard, they got taken by aphids. I don't think that I ever had problems with tomatoes being invaded by aphids, but this was definitely the year. Two things. I think that having a new raised bed for them in new soil, maybe not having a lot of, you know, living things in there didn't help things. And also, I didn't plant any marigolds this year for them, or around them, I should say. So I think that those things didn't really help their case, but at some point, I decided to look for someone selling tomato plants locally that were, you know, like heirlooms and all of that. And I went and bought myself a bunch of tomato plants from somebody local. And I grew a bunch of those at the community garden, because by the time that I found the plants, that I went and picked them up, it was already towards the end of June. And I mean, I got tomatoes this year. I got amazing tomatoes, but they were late and they were not in my home. And things happen. I mean, things happen. Things like this happen all the time. So hopefully this year I am not going to skip the part of buying a couple of trays of the small marigolds, and I'm just going to place those like in every corner, in every space possible. So when it comes to the rest of vegetables that I grew this year, I grew my zucchini, I grew cucumbers, I grew jalapenos, I even got some cucamelons there. I had a couple of plants, but I didn't grow a lot of them. And one of the things that I want to go back to is growing a bunch of vegetables. Probably not in the amount that I have been growing in the past few years. I definitely have to dial down to my tomatoes, but I do want to take it up my zucchini and my cucumbers. I feel like I just do one planting of those, and when they're done, they're done. And I do want to make sure that I have constant amount of zucchini, constant amount of cucumbers throughout the season. And one year I was really good about this, where I planted my seedlings of zucchini and cucumbers at the beginning of May, and later towards the end of June, I had another succession of those plants in another spot in my garden. So by the time that my first zucchinis and cucumbers were already dying because of, you know, the bugs finding them, my other plants were just starting to get going in a different spot. And that's the key, having them separated enough where the bugs don't find the other ones easily. I think that's definitely something that I'm going to repeat this coming year. And I need to find some really good varieties of cucumbers that are seedless. So if you have a favorite cucumber that you love, ideally with soft skin that it doesn't have any seeds, let me know in the comments what variety that is, because I am in the hunt for a couple of those. Another thing that I have been working on this year, or for the 2025 season, is working on the flower bed that is on the east side of the house. This year I added a bunch of hydrangeas, a bunch of shrubs, a bunch of perennials. I added an arbor to that existing path of boxwoods. It's coming along really, really well. And one of the things that I did, it was towards the beginning of November, and I didn't make a video, so I haven't shown you. You're gonna see it first here. I added a whole line, you could say that it's a hedge of corten steel beds. They're not too tall, because my idea is that I'm going to plant some sort of flowers there, maybe even foliage. I'm thinking that a line of mahogany splendor hibiscus there, like nice and thick and tall, I think that will look amazing. One, it will give me plenty of foliage for bouquets, and two, it's just going to be a nice privacy there. We have been wanting to do something there with some sort of evergreen to create some sort of natural privacy, but the kind of things that I want take a lot of money, and they will probably take a lot of space from that pathway, and I don't know if I want to do that. So lots of things to consider there, but right now I have a whole line of corten steel planters there. I don't have any soil in there yet. I did, however, fill it up with debris from my garden, with plants that I caught, and with a bunch of leaves from the fall. So hopefully I can order the minimum amount of soil for filling up those beds here in the spring. But I'm really excited about, you know, that whole extra space that I have there. And those beds there came from DIY Cartel. If you have been following this channel for a while now, that's the place for me to go for getting those planters, DIY Cartel. I believe that this is it. I think this is it. There were so many other things that I wanted to talk about on this video, but this is going to become a two-hour clip. I hope that you had an idea of the things that happened in my garden in the 2025 gardening season. I am super excited. I mean, having the extra space at the community garden, the extra raised beds in front of the garage, the new corten steel planters that I have there, that just gives me extra space, and that means growing more flowers, growing more food, and just having fun overall for the coming season. If you have any questions, let me know below in the comments. I am going to do my best linking to all of the videos where you can find more information about certain things that I talk about here, so check those first. Thank you for being here, you guys, and I will see you on the next time.